friends, welcome back to the channel. Please like and share the videos that post, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. I'll post some interesting chess related videos. So today I'm gonna show a game of mine from the GM Bijeljina first round robin tournament. Here I'm playing a very seasoned player, a very strong IM from India. I am Akshat Khamparia. He was in great form, and lately he was beating strong GMs. So this game is gonna be very interesting. So stay tuned till the end. So without further ado, let's begin. He had the white pieces against me, and he opened with c4, the English opening. I played e5, turning it into a reverse Sicilian. He played knight c3. I played knight f6. Knight f3, knight c6. We have the four knights, and now he played e4, which is an interesting line. Bishop b4 and d3. Here I made a slight inaccuracy by taking on c3 directly with a check. I should have waited with something like castles or d6. It would have been better, but I played bishop c3 check, and he played bc3. I played d6, g3. He wants to fianchet to his bishop. This is a common idea in the English. I played a6, threatening to break the b5 and fight on the queen side. He played a4, and I played rook b8. And now he played a5. And now if I play b5, he'll just take en passant, and this d5 square still remains weak as the pawn on c4 remains. And also if I take the c pawn, then my d6 pawn is weak, which I did not like. So that's why I played knight d7, rerouting my knight, and now bishop g2. He develops normally. Knight c5, castles on bishop g4. Here white already has an advantage, and he played h3, where I considered bishop f3, and knight e6 to prevent d4. But still he has the bishop here, which I did not like, so I played bishop h5 waiting, and he played d4 to my surprise, as the e4 pawn is not protected. So I thought for a while, and okay, I saw that if e takes d4, c takes d4, bishop f3, queen f6, there is at least something like e5 or bishop b2, and it's not bishop e3 even. E5 is probably stronger. Bishop e3, and this is not so great for me. Even bishop b2 is there, and because after knight e6, there might be some ideas like, I don't know, e5, and my position is not that great. I'm struggling, and I did not want to improve his pawn structure, so I directly took on e4, and he played rook e1. Now I'm faced with a choice. Either I retreat with the knight, but knight f6 is just bad because d takes e5, and for example, let's say if knight e5, then he goes g4, bg6, knight e5, d5, rook e5 check, and something like, why would I even want to play this position with that king on g8? Yeah, that was really bad for me. And also if I took knight takes c3, that's much of a greedy approach, and my knight is getting trapped. Queen d3, there's no way to go. Yeah, even here I was deciding between two moves, bishop g6 and f5. The computer suggests bishop f3, but I did not like that. It just simplifies the position too much, and I wanted to keep more pieces on the board, so I played f5. The thing is, bishop g6 is knight e5 is there, and the position is tricky. f5 he played, but according to the engine, I'm already almost losing due to the fact that I can play g4. I saw g4, and now also again I'm faced with two choices: either f takes g4 or bishop g6. Bishop g6 is relatively worse due to the fact that there's gf5, bishop f5, and during the game I thought, yeah, there is knight e5, but it's not that good. But the bishop on f5 is unprotected, and there might be some deadly pinning ideas like first de5, let's say de5, and yeah, queen d8, rook d8, and even knight h4 here. My bishop on f5 is unprotected, and the knight on e4 is also undefended. If I play knight d6, then anyways, who cares? He's gonna play c5, at least the c5. Oh yeah, and c5, even bishop c6, bc6, rook e5, followed by knight f5 seems deadly for me. I'm losing a piece. So that's why I went for f takes d4. He played h takes d4. I played bishop g6 now, defending my knight. And now he played d5. Now, so far he's playing the best moves, and my position is technically lost. I played d takes e5, and now the best move according to the engine. As I feared that move. I feared that he would play that move during the game, but thankfully he did not. The move was queen to d5, and if I take on d5, there's cd5, and I move the knight somewhere. He will take on e5, and my king is in the center with this rook on e1, this monster rook, and this bishop is going to develop from a3 or g5 when the knight, of course, on g5. It will develop only when the knight is away to attack the e7 knight. That's the point. So queen takes d8 check, rook takes d8. This happened in the game. He did not play queen d5, and he played knight h4, which is the best move. And I played knight d2, again one of the best moves. Here are two choices: either knight f6 and knight f6 is the more simpler approach, say, and knight d2. I played knight d2, yeah, because I like dynamic positions, so I blocked his bishop, and yeah, he played knight g6, edge g6, and now rook a4. And here, according to the engine, it's completely equalized 0.00 if I play any normal move like king f7. And please note that bishop d5 check is not bad for me. It's okay because rook d5, cd5, knight f3 check. If king g2, then this knight e1 check. And if king f1, which is the best move, is rook h1 check, king g2, rook e1. And if dc6, then yeah, it's important not to take on c1 because the cb7, rook b1, and rook b4, and white's pawn promotes. Instead, there's knight h4 check, king, let's say g3, and now it's rook c1, cb7. The difference is rook c3 check, king h4, and rook b3. Note that there's no rook b4 now, and it's an equal. It's draw because rook c4, rook b7, rook c6, and yeah. Okay, let's go back. But I rushed it to rook d3, playing aggressive moves, but to throw in knight f3 check. Note that rook d1, black is perfectly fine after knight f3, the only move. Yeah, but instead I missed an important move by my opponent. He played rook e3. At first it looks stupid, like why are you trading your rooks, like rook e3, fe3, knight b3, and the knights are so powerful. Sorry, the knights are so powerful, and this a5 pawn is very weak. And this knight can also jump to c5. This one, there might be ideas like e4, knight d3. But the thing is, this bishop takes c6 check here. B takes c6 and rook b4. Hey, black we like white is just giving up a free bishop. What is this? But the thing is rook b8 check, and I lose an exchange. Yeah, so I saw that, and sadly for me, my opponent played that. I had to go back with the rook to d7, and he played bishop c6. If bishop d5, I had planned knight b3, bishop c6, bc6. The same idea does not work because there's knight c1, rook b8 check, rook d8. That's the idea behind preserving the rook. Bishop c6, bc6, rook e5 check, king f7, bishop d2, rook d2, and now c5. I was horrified here due to the fact that the a4 rook is gonna turn into a monster and it's gonna come to f4 with a check, and my position is gonna be very dangerous. Like I might be checkmated any moment. For example, a sample line could go like, okay, I don't know. Okay, let's send a random move. Rook c2 or what? Is rook f4, king g8, g5. And the thing is, if I play something like rook h5, is rook e8, king h7, rook f8, rook g5, king f1, something like that. Not exactly, but yeah, something along those lines. It might not be working here, but you get the idea. And I can't prevent against, like, do anything against this checkmate. I have to give up the rook. Rook c2. Sorry, yeah. So rook f4 check, even rook e8 check, rook e6, rook e7, and gobbling up all my pawns one by one. My rook would be sitting bad, and okay. I decided to sack upon myself by playing g5, but according to the engine, this was bad for me. Engine says blah blah blah. You should play rook f8, and yeah, rook f4 check, king g8, artificial castling. Rook f8 check, king f8, but I was worried about rook e6. I saw rook f8 during the game, but rook e6, and that was a bit too much for me. But the engine says, yeah, black is fine after rook a2, and yeah, we just give up a pawn, rook a5, rook c6, rook a3. Yeah, and this position looked unclear to me. That's why I went on with g5. He played rook. If rook g5, I would play rook h6, and my rook defends these important pawns. I could play rook f6 and attack the f2 pawn. And this a5 pawn, c3 pawn. These pawns are isolated. So, but he played rook f5 check. He understood that by taking the g5 pawn, it just give me some more time to consolidate. I played king g6 and he played rook e4, bringing the second rook into the action. Rook e6 check is there, and looks like it's just gonna win my c6 pawn as well. c6, c7, everything is falling. Everything fell apart for me. Rook d1 check, king g2, rook h1. I tried my best. Rook e6 check, king h7, rook takes d5, rook dg1 check, king f3, rook h3, but it did not seem to be of any use. King e2, rook c3, I took on c3, and rook c6, rook c2 check, king d3, rook f2. I won this pawn, and yeah, this pawn I had to win to stay in the game a bit longer. If king e3, then there's rook e1, king f3, rook f1, and it is in the f2 pawn anyways. So he decided to give it to me directly without any checks and all that shady business. And okay, rook takes f2, then rook takes c7, and here I played king h6, and he played rook cg7. Looks like it's all over for me. The threat is rook 5 g6 checkmate. Okay, yeah. So this looks over for me, right? I mean, he's 2 pawns up, and I may have to play something passive like rook f6 and defend against the checkmate threat. And he's playing for the win. But okay, so let me reveal to you the twist of the story. At first, the engine even does not see the idea. It tells us rook c takes g7 is the best move. But actually, black has a draw here, which even Stockfish 15 pawn to 1 on loaded cannot see. Yeah, so okay, you can pause the video and try to find the idea. I mean, if you get the idea, then this should be a draw. Yeah, so the idea, I mean, there are two moves to execute the plan systematically. I played rook d2 check. Looks like this FM has gone crazy. Why is he sacrificing a rook? Already I'm 2 pawns down and I'm sacrificing a rook, and that too there are no pieces on the board except for that other rook. Yeah, so at first my opponent was like this, and okay, and he took on d2, and after king takes d2 I played rook d1 check, sacrificing the other rook. Now you get the idea. If he takes my rook, it's a stalemate, like it's a draw, and after seeing rook d1 check, he was furious. Like he did not expect that at all. He just missed the idea of sacrificing both the rooks for stalemate. He tried king e3, but rook d3 check, king e4, rook d4 check, king e5, rook d5 check. I mean, there is no way out. If king e6, rook d6 check, doesn't matter if the pawn can take, it's still a stalemate. If king f5, which he played in the game, and also if king e7, then rook d7, king f8, rook d8, and okay, the king can't hide anywhere. If king g8, I can even take rook takes g7 check, and he has to take rook takes g7 if he does not want to lose. Still a stalemate. Yeah, so he played king f5, I played rook d5 check, king f4, rook d4 check, and here we agreed to a draw. The king has no way to hide because let's say something like king g3, this is rook d3 check, and king h4 looks like white escapes, yay, and suddenly rook h3 check, and okay, forced stalemate. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this game, and especially that interesting idea in the end. Yeah, it was very satisfying executing it over the board. I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, see you soon. Goodbye.